Brad here for NanoClean. NanoClean uses the power of copper and nano silver technology to cut through grease and kill the viruses. Buy your NanoClean today. Order now and I'll throw in a second bottle. Just give me more money.
You're not really going to steal their ideas, are you?
I'm not stealing them. They gave them to me.
All right, welcome back. Hope you had a nice break. Okay, first a couple of house cleaning issues. Let's talk about attendance. I tried to do the word of the day. That seemed not to work, to be a little too confusing. Just make sure you turn in an assignment every day for this class. So if you've noticed, the video that you're watching right now is in an assignment section. Just click turn it in every day. So I had you do peer review, click turn it in. And every time you turn in the assignment, that will be the attendance. And so that should keep it simple. It's easy for me to keep track of, easy for you to do. Every day, you got to turn something in. Let's get going to the next thing. Okay, the first thing I want to talk to you about is your essay. So here is my solution to the essay. Let's read it real quick. The Columbian Exchange is the largest and most important transfer of food, plants, animals, technology, and disease in human history. For over 15,000 years, North and South America had been developing in isolation from the rest of the world. However, in 1492, when Columbus discovered this new world, he also discovered the new people and new food as well. Europeans, for the first time, learned about the existence of corn, tomatoes, and potatoes. This new source of calories would prove beneficial to Europe. In the Americas, the natives for the first time saw a pig and a horse. In addition, something unseen was brought to the Americas: new diseases. Having never had previous contact with these diseases, the natives had no immunity and were particularly susceptible to them, and many people died. Also, the natives had no knowledge or medicine to help them mitigate and combat these diseases. Overall, this trade between old and new worlds would be one of the most significant events in human history. Okay? So let's break down how we got there. I know you're going to be tempted to fast forward right now. Please don't. This is where the money is. You've got to learn how to write, and I want to help you write better, but write faster, more efficiently. You're going to have to write in high school. You're going to have to write in college. Let's work on developing a system that we can do over and over. So take a look at this, okay? This was my outline, but it's really just a series of questions. And these are always going to be the same questions. Who, what, when, why, how? I mean, you've heard these questions before. So when I'm talking about the Columbian Exchange, the first question, what is the Columbian Exchange? You got a prompt about a Civil War question in the future. What is the Civil War? What is the uranium frenzy? What is, you just say, this is what it is. Now, how did we get here? Okay, who was involved? When did this happen? Now, with the Columbian, then you get into the, see, that's sort of the basics. You can always start off with those questions. Then we're going to get into the details. What goes to Europe? Okay, most of you got what went to Europe, but some of you left out why. That's the most important question. Why is the most important question? Why did that matter that Europe got potatoes and turkeys? Because Europe will benefit from those calories. We associate potatoes with Ireland. We associate tomato with Italian food. And this is where they're going to get those things. Why? What is exchanged with the natives? Okay, they're going to get beasts of burden. I didn't really get into that, but horses help you plow land, ox and things, pigs, you can eat them. But the most important one is the diseases, because it wipes out so many. So you had to mention disease. You had to mention that what the effect was on the natives, that it kills about half of them. And then why? No immunity, no knowledge. Does that make sense? Okay. And then I throw in a conclusion and I'm done. I want you to learn to write your essays in a formula. okay, so that you can just, boom, just knock it out very efficiently. And it turns out this is also the best way to do it. So take a look. Let's break it down a little bit more. Okay, each question right there. What's the Columbian Exchange? The Columbian Exchange is the largest and most important transfer of food, plants, animals, technology, diseases in human history. How does it happen? Da, 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 da. Okay, so I'll let you read the slide. You can see that each question was just answered, and then I took those answers and just put them together, and that's the essay. I hope this helps you. I wouldn't mind if you put in the comments section, yes, this helped me, or no, this was a waste of time and I'm even more confused. I'm hoping that this helps you, okay? All right, let's get started on today's lesson on Middle Ages, okay? We're talking about feudalism. Feudalism is a system where you're going to basically get land and then you have to give something. And it depends on where you're at on the totem pole. We're going to talk about that. Okay, you have duties to perform, and the vassal, that's the person below. So if you're a king or queen, your vassal is a knight. And if you're a knight, your vassal is a serf. Serf is the lowest person on the totem pole. We'll briefly get into the manor system. And then chivalry is a code of honor. We learned about another code from ancient Japan. What was the code that we learned about from ancient Japan? All right, good job. The Bushido Code. Yes, chivalry, or the Code of Chivalry, is very similar to the Bushido Code. Eleanor of Aquitaine, I know a little bit about her. She is a powerful woman in the Middle Ages. We'll talk about why. And then William the Conqueror, he's super important. And I don't want to give it away, but there's a battle. He comes over to England from France, and he sort of sets up their modern monarchy. Before I go too far, I want to quickly review. You might not remember who was the king of the Franks. King of the Franks. Very good. Charlemagne. Excellent. Okay, ding, ding, ding. Okay, Charlemagne. Look, you might not remember William the Conqueror. You might not remember Charlemagne. This is the start of modern European history, okay? Modern European history. This is what I want you to understand. England's going to fight with France. The tribes have been fighting. You got the Saxons, the Gauls. They're going to fight each other. England's going to fight France. Germany's going to fight everybody. There is no Germany, and then there is. Doesn't matter. They're going to fight with each other. One of the last things that George Washington says, he says, look, don't get involved in Europe. That's a quagmire. They've been fighting for hundreds of years. You ain't going to fix it. Just stay out. Just stay out. That's one of the last things George Washington says to America. And I want you to understand why he would say that. Because Europe is going to battle each other for hundreds of years. Does this make sense? And so if you don't remember everybody's name and you don't remember all the little tribes and the conflicts, that's okay. Just remember that there's turmoil for a long time. And the fact that Europe is stable now and even unified in the European Union, this is totally modern, and there's not really a historical precedence for that. Does that make sense? Okay. Sorry if I babbled. I hope that makes it interesting. We got to talk about why we're learning some of this stuff, right? Okay. When is the Middle Ages? When? You should know this. Okay. 500 to 1500, fall of Rome to Columbus. That's close enough for me. Okay. How does William the Conqueror bring feudalism to England? Battle of Hastings. Battle of Hastings. What is feudalism? Okay, it's the social system in medieval Europe. Awesome job. All right. Okay, what are the mountains? You're all awesome, so I know you'll get this. What are the mountains between Europe and Asia called? Push it to the limit. That's right. The Euro Mountains. You have chosen wisely. Did you get it? Did you get my hint? You're all awesome. Get it? Euro Mountains. All right. Thanks. Okay, great. Okay. Here we go. Feudal system. If you're at the top, you're the king or the queen. Duh, you got that, okay? Below them are going to be nobles. In some sense, in some cases, the nobles are as powerful as the king and queens. They own the land. They protect the king and queen. They're going to have the knights. The knights are the next level down. They serve the nobles in exchange for land. And then if you're a peasant or a serf, you basically are a slave. You're tied to the land, and you're going to do what you're told, okay? The vassal, a person that is in the subordinate position to another. So know what vassal means? Here we go. This slide here is showing on the right who gets the land. So the king and queen gives the land to the nobles. And then the nobles give a little piece to the knights. And then the knights, they give a piece to the serfs. It's not so much that the serfs have the land, they just get to live on it. They need somewhere to live. In exchange for this land, the peasants are going to give food and labor to the knights. The knights give protection and warfare services to the nobles and then to the kings and the queens. Does this make sense? Basically, you're getting land and you're giving something for that land, either your work or your protection or your money. And this is the social system of medieval Europe. Okay? Also, you might have seen this system in like movies and things like that. Feudal system. Here's a quick movie.
The fall of the Roman Empire began the medieval age. The medieval age brought plagues, famines, disease, and in the middle of it all is feudalism. Feudalism, or the feudal system, was a dominant social system used in Western medieval Europe, mainly from the 5th to 12th century. In the feudal system, land are rewarded to lower classes for services, military service, and loyalty. For example, a king would reward a noble for being loyal to him, and in the same way, a noble would reward a knight for his service. This created a social system where all social classes are needed, which allows serfs and peasants who are at the bottom of the social system to still have a high morale as the whole social system depended on them. This is important as nearly 90% of the population during the 5th and 12th century are either serfs or peasants. However, feudalism gave kings almost unlimited power and gave women living in medieval Europe almost no rights. Women were forced into marriage by their families and not allowed to get a divorce no matter what. It was also very common for social status to be more valued than intelligence in feudalism. The decline of feudalism began with the Black Death. The Black Death eliminated the overpopulation issue in Europe, meaning there are significantly less people. The Black Death also caused a lot of destruction and damage, destroying food production leading to famines. Labor was now needed and more valued than ever before. Serfs and peasants are now valued as much as farmers, merchants, and craftsmen, destroying a layer in feudalism. Wealth were now being given to lower class, making the nobles, knights, and vassals poorer, while the working class richer. The Black Death and a mixture of other reasons caused the decline of feudalism. Feudalism showed that a work for reward system can work extremely well. If you look at our modern social system, you'll see that work equals reward, in our case money. Feudalism also created a system where all social classes can interact with each other. My question to you is, would feudalism have worked if the Black Death didn't exist?
Okay, welcome back. Go ahead, you don't have to do it right now, but when you're done with the video, make sure you read the Chivalry primary source, okay, about the Chivalry. Skip that. William the Conqueror, okay? He's the Duke of Normandy. He is a Duke of France. He goes, he wins an important battle. What's the important battle that he wins? The Battle of Hastings, exactly. Let's go give you a ding, ding, ding for that. Okay, what is one of the most important battles? This is a different time period, I know. The Muslims are coming through Spain. They're going to get stopped in France. Battle of Tours. Okay, don't get these confused. Okay, no worries. Here is a little video about William the Conqueror.
Hello and thanks for joining us here on France 24 for France in Focus. This week, we've headed north to Calvados in Normandy for a special programme about the first Norman King of England, William the Conqueror. This precisely 950 years after he won the Battle of Hastings. His life began here at the Château de Falaise, a castle which has changed beyond all recognition in the centuries following his birth. The young Duke of Normandy's childhood was anything but ordinary, but after he consolidated power here in his own duchy, he gathered his troops and went on to win the Battle of Hastings on the 14th of October 1066. He was crowned King of England 10 weeks later, these events completely transforming the course of European history. Let's take a look.
Most know him as William the Conqueror. Born in 1027, he's the son of Duke Robert and a Falaise tanner's daughter. At just 8, he inherits Normandy when his father dies while on a pilgrimage. "12 years of anarchy later, William, with the King of France's aid, wins the Battle of Valais-Dune and forces the rebels into submission. At 23, he marries Matilda, the daughter of the Count of Flanders, and cements his status as a feudal lord. January 1066, his cousin Edward the Confessor, King of England, dies with no successor. William believes the right should be his, but the Anglo-Saxon nobility has other ideas. They put their own champion, Harold Godwin, on the throne, just 2 years after he'd sworn fealty to William in Normandy. The insult can't be forgiven, and the Norman noble arms his fleet, taking 8,000 men across the Channel to conquer the kingdom. Both sides finally clash in open warfare near Hastings on October 14th, 1066. William leads his cavalry from the front, spurring his soldiers to action. During the battle, Harold takes an arrow to the eye and dies. 2 months later, the Normans are in London, and on Christmas Day, William's crowned in Westminster Abbey. It's just the beginning of the invasion of England. William begins installing trusted allies to positions of power, erects castles, and bloodily suppresses any revolt. By the end of the 1070s, his power's untrammeled. Even the King of France stands in the Duke-turned-Royal's shadow. The armies of both would meet on the battlefield in 1087 as William launches his final expedition. The Conqueror's reign, though, ended as it had begun, in bloodshed. William died in Rouen at the age of 60.
Okay, welcome back. So, Eleanor of Aquitaine, she is a queen. She gets divorced. She marries another king. She has 2 sons that both become king. And so that's, the book has a question in it. Why do you think she was one of the most powerful women? You can kind of figure it out. Okay, she's married to 2 kings and her sons are 2 kings. Therefore, she is going to be a very powerful woman in society. In a society where women aren't necessarily powerful. We're going to watch a quick video, but I just remembered something. We read an article about teenagers in the Middle Ages. And a lot of you said, oh, that's so sad, and da-da-da-da-da. Look, it is a modern blessing that you guys get to go to school and don't have to go to work. All of that potential was lost to them. They didn't have any opportunity. They just had to work. And one day work will come for you. But what we want you as a society, what we want you to have is the ability to maximize your potential and the ability to choose what you want to do. Education brings you freedom. If you have a maximum education, you can be a doctor, astronaut, lawyer. If you don't have an education, they don't let you do those things. No one's going to, oh, I didn't graduate high school, but I'll operate on you. You're not going to have a job like that. Does that make sense? You've got, and it's whatever you want to be. You want to, you want to go to the stars, or you want to drive trucks, or you want to build houses, or you want to be an electrician. I'm not saying necessarily that you have to go to college, but you have to maximize your learning so that you can do the job and have the freedom. Does that make sense? And when you look back in history, we really do stand on, I think it was Isaac Newton that said, we stand on the shoulders of giants. we are able to have all of this because of the hard work that they did, and now we get to reap those benefits. You're not being forced to go to school. You're lucky, and it's awesome. And thanks for being here, and let's go watch this video about women in the Middle Ages.
In days of old, when dragons roamed the land, fair maidens spent a great deal of time languishing in towers and devising ways to encounter young knights who were eager to rescue them from days of idleness. Or so conventional wisdom would have us believe. But the records of the time, tax surveys and artwork, tell a different story. Medieval women, in fact, worked long and hard with no immediate rescue in sight. Most belonged to the peasant class. They worked for their fathers or husbands, or were indentured to large feudal estates. They often did the same back-breaking work as their men, usually for lower wages. Sometimes they formed part of a floating population of workers that roamed the country at harvest time, or were rented out by their fathers to other households in return for wages and clothing. But then things began to change. The Middle Ages saw the growth of towns and cities and a commercial working class. Now women could become jewelers, shopkeepers, tailors, and apothecaries. Although most craft guilds accepted only men, a woman could gain a foothold in business by apprenticing in her parents' trade or inheriting a shop from her dead husband. And there were some who entered business entirely on their own. Some skills were practiced by all women, peasants and ladies alike. One was the central industry of the time, the manufacture of textiles. From tending the silkworms to growing the flax till the yarns were woven into cloth, women did it all. They practiced the healing arts until eased out by the rise of professional male doctors. Some women supported themselves as artists. Others were hired to teach the children of the wealthy. But most nonconformists became nuns. As nuns, they were free to think of spiritual and metaphysical things, to study and distinguish themselves in science, politics, and of course, religion. And if a nun became an abbess, she governed over vast parcels of land in the name of God. Women in the upper classes, far from being pampered, were expected to entertain and to oversee the preparation and storage of foods. Ladies ran huge estates and sometimes ruled whole countries, if only by virtue of birth. And when her lord went off to war, a lady was expected to stay home and hold the fort, and to keep things in good repair. With so much to be done, there was probably little time left for romantic trysts or dragons. In an age when everyone was bound by class to do certain tasks, women were doubly bound by their sex. But in the course of doing those tasks, they chipped away at the restrictions placed on them for being women, for the benefit of centuries of women to come.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Okay, today we learned about William the Conqueror. We reviewed some stuff. We definitely learned about the feudal system. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Have a great day.